Oh, wow. I think it is coming through on some of these cameras. Hey, it's Chris. This is the video that you've all been waiting for. I've got my hands on both new iPad Pros, the 11-inch 2021 iPad Pro, very capable with that new chip, but more importantly, or more interestingly, probably to most people, the 12.9 with its fancy new display. I've been waiting so long to do this. I can't wait to get into this. So in this video, what we're gonna do is unbox both of these. And then as I get these set up, I'm gonna give you some first impressions. And then we're also gonna test some stuff. And I'm definitely gonna be testing the graphics among other things. So yeah, this is gonna be really, really fun. Now, these are actually both 1 terabyte models. It can go up to 2. I have one with 2 terabytes on the way. That's my personal iPad Pro that I ordered. So when you get your review, I'm gonna be doing the maxed out version, but the only real differences are basically the physical size and the display, of course, which is very different, hugely upgraded on the larger iPad Pro. Very simple packaging, just what I think we've come to expect. Got your charger, you got a USB-C to USB-C cable here. So, here's our first look at the size comparison here. A lot of people are like, man, I wish that they had put that new display on the 11-inch. That just would have made this the perfect iPad Pro for me. And I understand there's something to that statement because it's so portable. But maybe due to supply chain constraints, or maybe just because Apple really does want to differentiate the top-end model this year, we don't have that. This is really something. Every time I touch a brand new iPad with the latest features for the first time, I almost get chills, because what I actually care about is not the device itself so much, but what it's gonna let me do, the things that I can create. And it's interesting, in a year with colorful iMacs and maybe with colorful MacBooks on the way, there's something about this understated silver. It is straightforward, it is plain, it's down to business, but this is the iPad Pro. It's meant for serious things, right? All right, so as we get these fired up, the 11-inch here is using the same liquid Retina display that we've seen on previous Pro models. But the 12.9-inch here is rocking the liquid Retina XDR display. But where you're gonna notice a huge difference is when you're pixel peeping, maybe editing your photos, or when you're watching HDR content, for instance, which we're gonna check out very shortly. But for a lot of activities, you're not gonna notice that much difference, just like this. Now, I've reached the Face ID setup screen, and one thing that I've been kind of harping on over the last year or two has been, I wish that Apple would move this front-facing camera to the side. Because for me, and for a lot of people, when you have this on the Magic Keyboard, the side is actually the top. So I definitely am looking forward to if and when that changes. All right, as we're getting into this, let me just say, if you're liking the vibe of this video so far, this is a great time to get yourself subscribed. Why? Because I'm gonna be doing all kinds of tests, comparisons, not just between these two devices, but the last version of the 12.9-inch, talk about the differences, maybe other tablets. I got a lot of iPad, Mac, iPhone, Apple Watch, Apple content headed your way, and I don't want you to miss it. And let me just say, people keep asking, am I going to put a Paperlike on the new 12.9-inch? And the answer is yes, of course. You guys know I love how much better it makes writing or drawing on my iPads thanks to that extra texture that it adds, the sound, if for no other reason than to tell you guys or to show you what it's like to use with this insanely cool new display. All right, enough yip yap. We're finally through the setup process. It's time to get started here. But I actually just went out and I shot some photos and videos on my iPhone 12 Pro Max that I'm gonna put over here. The videos are in Dolby Vision HDR, so we're gonna see how that looks. So let's get a video going here first. Oh, wow, this is my first time in person being able to just see the difference in the screen quality and display. Wow, yes, this is so much brighter. I'm not sure if it's gonna come through in the video, but just take my word for it. The yellow in these flowers is popping, the white in this flower is popping. This, as nice as it looks, it just looks, I don't know, just duller somehow. And it's one of those things where if you weren't able to see these side by side, you just wouldn't think about it. You wouldn't really know. So if you have the 11-inch and you're using it, you just be like, hey, that's really nice, that's great. But whoa, when they are side by side, there's just no mistaking it. The brightness levels are set to identical right here. So that has nothing to do with it. Now here's my iPhone 12 Pro Max, and the comparison between these two screens kind of reminds me of when I'm looking at a photo in my Photos app on my iPhone, and then I switch over to a video, how much brighter that video looks that was shot in Dolby HDR than that photo. The photo looks really dull in comparison. Well, that's really what this reminds me of here. This is so bright and nice. And when you come back and look at this, you're like, oh, that's what that looks like then. Okay. Now, just for comparison, let me throw up a couple of photos here. Okay, this is the exact same photo on each display. It's gonna depend completely on the context, on the content, on the activity that you're doing when this amazing mini LED powered screen is going to show itself and make itself known and make you feel like, wow, yeah, that was worth spending some extra dollars on. I mean, both of these are super clear, super nice. You could get some really great editing done. Let's just watch one more video though, because wow, it's so enjoyable. I mean, everything, the brights, the darks, the contrast then with the color that's next to it, it all just looks so good. Are there gonna be times when this even outperforms an OLED TV panel? Yes, there are gonna be times. So let me actually zoom in so we can actually see some of the details just that much nicer. Oh, wow. I think it is coming through on some of these cameras, just how much of a difference there actually is, because it's very pronounced. And this is just iPhone video that I shot. I'm not even talking about something from Netflix or Disney Plus or Hulu or Apple TV Plus, right? So yeah, when it comes to video content, this screen lives up to the hype so far. Okay, the next thing that we're gonna take a look at is the graphics, okay? And this is gonna have to do with the new chip. We're gonna take a look at a new game that just got released for the iPad in conjunction with the iPad release called Divinity Original Sin 2. The reason that it's significant is because this is basically the first time a AAA title has been fully brought over to the iPad with no compromises. So you're gonna be able to play this game with full high settings at 60 FPS, which should be very cool. This is a popular PC game already. It has been for a couple years. Now, this is a big deal, so it has a big price to match. This game is gonna cost you $24.99. All right, here we are. I am gonna go ahead and get going with this. Okay, so the graphics look very nice. All right, so this is an RPG. The world is absolutely enormous. There's tons of textures that need to be rendered here. And it's not like this is a light version of this game. This is the full thing on the best settings. The light is reflecting off the walls. It's really very impressive. The iPad's just rendering this as the walls kind of cut away so you can see behind. It's really, really nice and smooth. I feel like the wood on the walls and the floor, it just looks real. What's really crazy here is I was just demoing using Google Stadia, and if you're lucky enough to be in the beta, you could do some Xbox cloud gaming on your iPad as well, but those offload all the heavy lifting into the cloud. But this is living on my iPad. It doesn't need a computer elsewhere to do all the heavy lifting. The Apple Silicon inside is able to handle a huge AAA title like this, really impressively. All right, so we've just begun to play around a little bit. This is a first impressions video after all, so I'm not gonna go super in depth. I'm just kind of giving you a first peek at everything here. But you know what? I do have the new Magic keyboards here in white, and why don't we take a look at those too? All right, now I actually ordered a white Magic keyboard for myself, for my personal iPad, because I want to try it out. I love white Apple products and accessories. It takes me back to the old days with the white plastic, which I know a lot of people were glad that Apple moved on from, but personally, this is really exciting to me. Now, the main question on people's minds, of course, is, well, is it gonna get dirty? And the answer is, well, maybe, but I know for a fact that these are designed to be wiped off, to be wiped down. Look at this. This is insanely cool. It's so clean. And like I've said many times before, the Magic Keyboard for the iPad Pro, wow, is far and away my favorite typing experience when it comes to the iPad. I've tried every major keyboard competitor, whether it was a case or a standalone keyboard, and I just keep coming back to the Magic Keyboard. So you can't go wrong with whatever color. But to me though, this just feels like it's on a whole nother level. Oh man, it's so nice. What I like about it is everything pops. You have the colorful screen here, and then this white, it just adds a new dimension here. I don't know, it's just down to personal preference, but I really like this. And it's a really interesting white too, because it doesn't just punch you in the eyeball. You can see the contrast from the white in this Apple Note to the white on the keyboard. It's almost It's interesting. It's kind of a muted white, actually, is how I might describe it. Still happy though. Yep, just as good of a typing experience as ever. Of course, nothing's changed other than the color here. I could seriously just write on this for hours at a time and I wouldn't get tired of it. And how's that for a look when it's all folded up? I mean, you can still see the camera cutout here. That's black, so that kind of pops. Ooh, feels nice though. And it goes really nice with that silver if you get the silver color. So if you get this, you gotta expect that you're gonna have to clean it probably more than you would the darker version, the black version. But let me go get that one really quick because a lot of people have said that they haven't been super happy with the way that that has worn either. A bunch of us on Twitter were talking about this the other day. Everyone was posting pictures of the status of their Magic Keyboard, the original Magic Keyboard for their iPad Pros that had kind of worn down with a year of use. All right, so I went and got my old iPad Pro, the 12.9 inch. I'm gonna open these up and set them next to each other for the first time. I've never seen them together with their two different displays. But here you go, you got your two different keyboards, and I don't know if it's gonna show up, and I may have to get a different shot of this on B-roll, but you know, on the space bar and on some of the keys on this old black keyboard, you can see where I've pressed them quite a bit, and you can see that it's worn down a little bit. So it's not like the black version isn't gonna wear at all, and the white one is. They're both going to, just probably in a little bit different ways. Now, you know, in the not too distant future, I'm gonna test and compare these two devices. That's out of the scope of this video, but get yourself subscribed if you wanna see how the screen compares, and if you have the old one, if it's gonna feel like a worthy upgrade to get this new screen. Now, there's a Procreate update that's coming out. I wanted to test it in this video, but the update hasn't hit yet, and it's gonna make 3D model rendering 4 times faster than the previous iPad Pro, which was no slouch, as I keep reminding you. I've seen a demo of that, and it was incredibly impressive. So I can't wait to test that out. And if you are like, what's he talking about? I'll show you. But wow, it's really cool. And Procreate with that 3D design is going to be a great use case moving forward for using the LiDAR sensor on the back of your camera for some AR previews. All right, so my full review will be coming up. More tests and comparisons will be coming up, but that's it for this first look here. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you can't tell, I'm excited about this. Can't wait to dig in, and I think you guys should be too, because this is a significant upgrade and improvement, this screen, this chip in the iPad Pro. So thanks for watching. Make sure that you're subscribed to the podcast as well, because a lot of the stuff that I don't get to talk about here, I end up talking about in the podcast. So I'll see you in the next podcast episode or the next video. Later.